Jesus! That is a legitimate worst case scenario. What is going on, guys? It is JJ here, back once again with yet another video, and today we're going to take a look for the first time ever on the channel, a little bit of a documentary. We're going to take a look for the first time about the Munich air disaster. It's considered the darkest day, the biggest tragedy in the history of Manchester United Football Club, and something I know legitimately zero about. I know not a thing about it. I'm kind of intrigued. There's just sort of, I can't say I'm kind of intrigued. I'm very intrigued to learn more, A, about the Munich air disaster, and B, we did a video a while back on like football's greatest disasters and tragedies, and there's been plenty. It's insane how much sort of the darkness of what you could say human society is kind of intertwines with sport, and football has no exceptions to that. I mean, you could. What am I thinking of here? Hi something. Oh, Jesus. The Liverpool disaster where the 96 stuck in the stadium, the overcrowding in the stadium, obviously the plane crash in Brazil. There are so many. I don't even want to go through all the tragedies of football. The Paris bombing. Jesus, that just popped back in my head. But yeah, anyway, we're going to take a look at the Munich air disaster for the first time. It's a short 9-minute film about it. We'll probably stop in between just so I can maybe put questions out there for myself. Please respond to me in the comments. I love to learn more information about this types of stuff. But yeah, let's get into the video. As well, guys, you can find the original video just down in the description below.
They were known as the Busby Babes, the most talented group of youngsters ever produced by Manchester United, all playing under the watchful eye of legendary manager Matt Busby. In 1956, they won the Division 1 league title. And then in 1957, they won it again. They were all but unstoppable. By February 1958, they were fourth in the table, but they'd lost just once in 13 games. Busby's Babes were being tipped for yet another league title. On February 3rd, the team travelled to Yugoslavia for a European Cup quarter-final match against Red Star Belgrade. United had beaten them 2-1 at Old Trafford in the first leg, but Red Star were one of the top teams in Europe, and it was expected to be a tough game. The match ended in a 3-3 draw, but that was enough to send Busby's side through to the semi-finals for the second year running.
I wish, listen, this part is just me being kind of selfish about football in general. I wish there was a more diverse pool of talent where like the teams in countries with the humongous TV deals weren't necessarily always those teams that dominated. Like who's gonna remember the days when like Red Star were in it? Like, I wish teams like Red Star or Shakhtar, or I mean in teams that are not in those big five countries. Ajax in 18-19 is a prime example. A team that's outside the Power Five that became a powerhouse. Like as
the team made its
I miss those. Everyone loves those stories.
In a tragic accident. Their plane had landed in Munich to take on fuel before starting the final leg of the journey back to Manchester. It was snowing heavily, and the pilots had already aborted 2 takeoff attempts. It began to look like they'd have to delay their flight until the weather improved, but the captain was keen to keep to their schedule, so at 4 minutes past 3, they made a 3rd attempt. It was to prove a fatal mistake. Their plane hit a patch of slush and overshot the runway. It crashed into a fence, and then a house, and burst into flames.
Jesus! That is a legitimate worst case scenario. Oh my God.
Early reports confirmed that many of the 44 passengers on board, which included journalists and supporters, had lost their lives. But only after emergency services had extinguished the flames and taken survivors to hospital did the extent of the tragedy become clear.
Wow.
Near Munich, a fierce blaze marks the wreck of a British airliner. In attempting takeoff, it brushed some trees at the end of the runway, then dropped 60 feet into a house and the gasoline...
The disaster in Munich made headlines all over the world. At home, the news was met with equal measures of shock and grief. The football world reeled. Manager Matt Busby had suffered fractured ribs, a punctured lung and leg injuries. He was so badly hurt that he was read his last rites, not once, but twice. A hospital statement soon after the crash said, "We do not have much hope of saving him." Club talisman Duncan Edwards had fractures to his legs and ribs and severe kidney damage.
Jesus.
Then there was Albert Scanlon, whose fractured skull and broken leg rendered him unconscious for 3 weeks. Johnny Berry and Jackie Blanchflower's horrific injuries ensured that they would never play football again.
Oh my
Bill Folks,
God.
Kenny Morgans and Ray Wood had all suffered minor injuries. It was later revealed that goalkeeper Harry Gregg had actually pulled Bobby Charlton and Dennis Violet from the burning wreckage.
Really? That's insane.
Against the odds,
And think about
Busby's
all that Bobby Charlton would go on to do. Bobby Charlton would go on to help England win its first ever World Cup. And he was saved in a fiery plane crash by his own goalkeeper.
condition steadily improved, but Edwards steadily worsened. On February 21st, 15 days after the crash, the 21-year-old rising star of English football died from his injuries. 8 United players and 3 of the club's backroom staff had lost their lives. Eight journalists and 2 other passengers were also killed. Of the 44 passengers up and down the country as funerals and memorial services were held for the dead, there was speculation Manchester United could fold, that the club was in danger of going out of business. But under stand-in manager Jimmy Murphy, United saw out the remainder of the season with a team bolstered by loan signings and youth players.
I mean,
Their threadbare
like, would they
side
really
were only 4
relegate them though?
and finished
You're-
ninth, but
most of the team
remarkably
died in a
did
plane
manage
crash.
to
Like,
reach the
that's
final
messed
of
up.
the FA Cup. Meanwhile, 2 months after the disaster, Matt Busby was discharged from hospital. He travelled to the picturesque town of Interlaken in Switzerland to recuperate, but struggled to come to terms with what had happened. Depressed and heartbroken, Busby was determined he'd have nothing more to do with football. Until a few simple words from his wife, Jean, changed everything. "You know, Matt," she said one day, "the lads would have wanted you to carry on." It was enough to rekindle his enthusiasm for the game. Busby travelled back to England in time to see United line up against Bolton in the cup final. They lost 2-0, but the following season he returned to manage the club. Busby built his new side around Munich survivors like Bobby Charlton, Harry Gregg, Bill Folks. The following season, they finished runners-up in the league, which
That's
was
insane.
astonishing.
So let me get this straight. You lost players in a plane crash and still the next season came back with some of those players that were in the plane crash that got hurt and finished runners-up. Rest of the league in the
Charlton was the
mud.
club's top
Rest of
scorer
the
with
league in the
29
dirt.
United made some important signings too. Players like David Hurd and Dennis Law came in and strengthened Busby's new side. In 1963, they won the FA Cup, beating Leicester 3-1 in the final. Later that year, a precocious teenager called George Best made his debut at just 17. United were champions in 65 and again in 67. But Busby's crowning achievement came in 1968 when his Manchester United side, captained by Bobby Charlton, beat Benfica 4-1 for extra time at Wembley
the European Cup.
to finally lift the European Cup. 10 years after the tragedy that claimed the lives of 8 of his players, United were champions of Europe.
I love that the trophy's the same. It's insane.
The Munich disaster left an indelible mark on Manchester United. The story of Munich and the Busby Babes has become part of club folklore. Every year since, on the anniversary, fans, players and managers past and present have gathered at Old Trafford under the Munich Memorial plaque in the shadow of the Munich clock to pay their respects to those who died.
That is... I'm shocked. I mean, I probably should have known that had I actually been a Manchester United fan. I feel like I probably would have known more about this backstory, but that is insane. The Munich... Wow. Love that Manchester United still do that. Hillsborough also is what I was thinking of earlier. I don't know why I thought of the name now. But yeah, this is... Big respect, A, to Manchester United, and to Busby, Matt Busby. Jesus. To go back and manage your team after watching some of its players, staff, journalists, friends, family, essentially, die in a plane crash. I couldn't imagine. Let me know what you guys think, though, down in the comments. It's little things like that. It has like a whole butterfly effect on what could happen in the future. And I mean, think about where Manchester United would be had Busby not returned, had maybe Bobby Charlton not been saved from the wreckage. Like, it's little things like that could change everything. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. Let me know if you guys want to see any other videos. Hopefully not on disasters, but on club backstory or club histories. I absolutely love taking a look at stuff like this because it educates me, because obviously I wasn't alive to learn it. So, thank you guys though, and peace.